right. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the Book of Shadows YouTube channel. Welcome. I want to do a pretty deep dive today on some kind of esoteric knowledge and some ancient traditions and images, and to see how this all sort of connects into something that's going on today. And it's something very dark, something that is there is an unseen war going on in our own consciousness, and it's been raging for thousands and thousands of years. And so how can we enlighten ourselves and steer clear of this darkness that has infected the consciousness in our minds? So the first image that we're going to look at is from ancient Babylonia, and it is a depiction of the goddess Tiamat on the left and the god Marduk on the right. And Marduk was the son of another great god known as Enki. And in this depiction, he is slaying or defeating the goddess Tiamat. And I want to focus more on Tiamat because she is a representation of the primordial forces of creation. She was known as the ruler of the oceans. And of course, she has this zoomorphic quality in this image that we're looking at. She kind of looks like a dragon. She has scales, and she's got these ferocious teeth and claws. And I've written before on the website about how powerful and mysterious the depth of the ocean truly is. Because, as biological studies have confirmed, organic life on Earth, the first microorganisms originated at the very bottom of the ocean, where superheated magma escaping from the Earth's core came into contact with the ocean waters, creating these giant plumes of superheated underwater smoke. And these microorganisms learn to adapt and basically fuel their cells off of this chaotic union. And so in truth, we have our beginnings at the depths of the ocean, all the way down. And there's something ineffable and unknowable and mysterious about this chaotic and primordial force that has its origins in the depths of the underworld. So Tiamat has this ambiguous form and this terrifying form because she is a representation of that mystery, of that primordial aspect that is always with us, that is still with us now. A big part of creation itself and of life itself is chaos. The material world is in this state of perpetual chaos. But in the Enuma Elish, which is one of the oldest creation mythologies known to man, it was said that the gods were afraid of her. They were terrified of her. So they recruited Marduk to slay her. And Marduk would go on to become the chief god in the Babylonian pantheon. And it's very interesting that this mighty warrior, Marduk, the name of this mighty warrior is so similar to Mars. Marduk, Mars. And Mars we know is a war god in the Greek tradition. And the Greeks and the Mesopotamians had a lot of cultural exchange. In fact, Mesopotamia is a Greek word for meaning between two rivers. So, the seeds of this Western culture, of these Western traditions, seem to be sown by war gods, by a slayer, a defeater, a conqueror. And let's be real about calling them gods, because in the Enuma Elish, archaeologists, scientists, whatever they've called them, they've been labeled gods. And that brings us to the whole mythological thing, forgetting that this was a creation story. These were human beings recording what happened, or their ideas of creation. And these were men. And these men were saying that they're terrified of Tiamat, of the primordial, of the earth, scared of their own mother, fearing her wrath. And so, instead of a culture built around a reverence for the goddess, we have a war-driven society aimed at driving out this force, driving out Tiamat, slaying her, defeating her, shutting out the mystery, that ineffable, unknowable, primordial consciousness that we as spiritual seekers love to dive into and understand. But they're saying, no, we killed her. And so these stories are the story of man versus this primordial, versus the ineffable, versus the unknowable. And we've been given this story of how man has brought order and discipline and structure to the chaos. And to a degree that has happened. I mean, Mesopotamian culture, ancient Greek culture, Roman, all these Western traditions that evolved and grew, these civilizations, yeah, they contributed. There were advancements, technological, but not spiritual, because we have to recognize the importance of how the earth, the organic life, the primordial, has always been a factor into the stories, into the histories, into the books, but it hasn't gotten the fair share of credit and reverence that it deserves. And instead, mankind has built this artificial shrine to himself and his quote-unquote victory over nature. So I'm hoping that you see how this ancient depiction of the goddess Tiamat in the god Marduk from one of the oldest civilizations known to man is an archetype and sort of paving the way for the civilizations and the traditions that would follow of war-driven, male-dominated, technological societies where nature was seen as this subjugated force of this, as this sort of conquered, the earth was conquered. That's what's being said. And that is a whole aspect, a whole other half of the story that we haven't been given. There's a mystery here that we're totally blind to because of our Western way of thinking. So let's jump forward a little bit to the creation story that we're all familiar with, or most of us are familiar with, more so than the Enuma Elish, and that is of course, the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Eve being tempted by the snake, and then being driven out, cast out from paradise, because this is a perfect example, again, of how the primordial, the organic, the Edenic aspect of one's own nature becomes demonized by Western tradition. Because they're telling us that Satan, this evil, the prince of darkness, the most evil thing is a snake, tempting a woman to sin, and then her and her male consort being cast out. But a snake is embodiment, is the clearest embodiment of the primordial aspect of creation and of creativity, of the primal, of the base. It's the Kundalini. The snake is the Kundalini, and it's the creative energy that is seated at the base of our spine that connects us to the primordial, to the depths, to the earth, to our roots. And by making us afraid of this energy, of our own sexual, organic, primordial nature, the church was able to literally cast us out from the garden, to separate us from ourselves. Truly. And so, there also exists a strong connection between Satan, or Lucifer, and the planet Venus. Satan was seen as this horned god because of a natural connection to the Venusian aspect of, again, our own nature that they tried to demonize and make us afraid of. The morning star, Lucifer was known as the morning star. That's Venus. I mean, you can look this up. It's clear that is what they're saying. They're demonizing this aspect of ourselves because this is the aspect of ourselves that is associated with nature and fertility, in creation, in abundance, in pleasure. These things that the Western empirical, male-dominated mind is so afraid of, that wants to cast out. And that's what's been done. This whole part of ourselves, this grand mystery that we are, has been shut out, destroyed, trampled on. There's this hatred for the feminine that still exists today. It's still around us. And when you hold hatred in your heart, you hate yourself. That's self-hatred. That's really dangerous. And you'll never truly know yourself. You'll never experience true love. And because of the power that the church had, and that these traditions had, so many people were shut out from themselves, from awakening. Furthermore, I want to go and look at this depiction, this artwork from the medieval era of a famous Christian motif of the Archangel Michael driving out or defeating Satan. And again, we've talked about how Satan is the primordial, is the feminine, the chaotic, the kundalini at the base of the spine. So what they're showing us is how the church has basically trampled this aspect, pushed down this aspect. They gave the goddess a face of a demon. They sold us a mythology, and they put a sword to the neck of anyone who spoke out against it. And what's really being shown is an inner conflict, a psychological conflict of man being unable to accept and integrate his feminine qualities, his feminine aspects, his Venusian self. So that's why this is relevant today. Because that's a huge darkness that has infected our consciousness, particularly in the realm of man. A man who, again, hates the feminine aspect, who disregards the mysteries of the earth and of creation, who holds hatred in his heart. There's a very, very real danger in that. And you don't have to go far to see that happening. To see people trashing this earth, trashing themselves. And this, again, that's why I brought this to these ancient images and ideas, because this has been going on for a long, long time. So the key or the answer is to learn how to integrate, to accept yourself fully, to love yourself fully, to hold love, patience, kindness in your heart, not hatred. Because our Western way of thinking is, very intellectual. We love using our minds, and we love expressing ourselves through the language, and even reading and diving deep on esoteric knowledge and all this stuff that I love too. But unless the mind and the heart are in alignment, then it doesn't matter. But we have to see the importance of, we have to see why that's important. Because it's our lives that are at stake. We've had a whole half of ourselves shut out, cut off. We've been separated from our existence, from our right, from our paradise. We've been cast out of paradise. That's what they're telling us. But that was done intentionally. We aren't sinners, or we aren't inherently evil, but we've been lied to. So, reclaim yourself. You are whole and complete and fulfilled just by the nature of you being. Just by the nature of you being. And when you can accept that, and when you can accept yourself, then this mystery before us, this grand, beautiful, primordial, unknowable, ineffable nature, this existence, becomes not a curse that we have to bear, but a gift that we've been given. A gift that we need to honor. So, I hope this video was inspirational in some way, helpful in some way. I hope that this maybe sparked something that that will be helpful on your journey towards self-discovery and self-enlightenment. So I want to thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and we'll be back with more. All right, have a beautiful day. Sending you a big, big hug wherever you are, and the journey continues. Thank you.